One funeral for over 100 Palestinians. They come from just two families. Their remains were recovered from beneath the rubble almost 3 years after Israeli strikes flattened a residential block in Gaza City. Nearly a year after a ceasefire was supposed to end the fighting between Israel and Hamas, Israel continues to bomb the Strip. The Israeli government regularly says it is targeting Hamas militants. Its strikes have killed over 1,000 Palestinians in Gaza since last November's ceasefire. The UN reports more than 150 people were killed in July alone. The stalled ceasefire deal was reinvigorated late last week when Donald Trump announced that Hamas had agreed to disarm. The issue has been a major sticking point in finalizing the peace deal. The new agreement between Hamas and Trump's so-called Board of Peace also called on Israel to stop its attacks in Gaza while the disarmament took place. Over the weekend, those attacks ramped up instead. The Israeli Prime Minister's office says it objected to elements of the disarmament agreement. Particularly, it rejected calls to withdraw Israeli troops beyond the so-called Yellow Line, a demarcation that divides the Strip into areas controlled by Hamas and Israel. Negotiators for the Board of Peace say they provided Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with assurances that the withdrawal will take place only after Hamas has disarmed. And still, the attacks have continued. Qatari mediators have since accused Israel of attempting to derail the plan's implementation and block peaceful solutions. All the while, the Gaza Strip remains in ruins, with its residents enduring dire shortages of food, water, and basic medicines.
Joining me now is Dr. Mustafa Barghouti. He's a physician, a former Palestinian information minister, and Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative, which presents itself as a democratic alternative to both Fatah and Hamas. Dr. Barghouti, it's good to have you with us. Good to see you again. What does this funeral reveal about the destruction that Gaza is still uncovering?
It's a very painful moment. It's the largest funeral probably in the history of the Palestinian people. 112 victims were brought out of from under the rubble, and they all belong to two main families. And the sad thing is that more than 200 other families from the same clans could not really say goodbye to their beloved because they are still under the rubble and they cannot be found. We are talking about thousands of Palestinians who have been bombarded by Israel during the last genocidal war. And they are still under the rubble. The people cannot reach them, either because the land they are in is occupied by the Israeli army, or because people simply cannot reach them. The total amount of Palestinians killed and injured during this horrible war is almost 250,000. That is a big number. It is 12% of the population of Gaza Strip. If you apply that to the United States of America, you would be talking about 36 million people killed or injured. It's a shocking reality. And of course, the problem is that the bombardment does not stop. Israel continues the bombardment, and since the ceasefire agreement, Israel violated it 3,700 times, killing more than 1,200 more people. So it's a continuous disaster that continues to happen because the world cannot restrain Israel.
Dr. Barghouti, let me ask you, I noticed that you posted extensively on social media about this funeral, but you omitted an important fact. The Abu Sharia family has supplied leaders to the Palestinian Mujahideen movement. Israel says that its late leader, Abu Sharia, participated in the October 7th attacks and the abduction of the Bibas family. Why did you leave out this important information?
I didn't leave out anything, but if the Israeli information is correct, by which law in the world you bombard a whole clan because one person is accused of something. When did that happen and where that is justified? Killing men, women, children. Many of the 212 of the 112 people that were buried today, a huge number are children. I think about 40. So how can you kill whole families, because you are accusing somebody of participating in something? I think the collective punishment that Israel conducted here is what made people call this a genocide. Because when you are talking, the other day I was watching TV, I was watching a video club of an Israeli settler who said that one Israeli life is worth 1 million lives of Palestinians. And when the anchor who's from BBC told him this is racism, he said, yes, it's racism because we are the chosen people and you are jealous of us. This kind of racism is leading to very dangerous phenomena, not only for Palestinians, but for Israelis themselves. Racism is transforming into fascism, basically. And that is the dangerous thing.
Dr. Barghouti, has anyone independently established whether there was a military target inside the buildings?
Well, even if there was a military target, you cannot kill 320 people because you are targeting one person. The total number of the people who were killed in that building was more than 320, whole neighborhood. So no justification for that.
But would you support there being an investigation, though? Should there be an investigation to find out?
Of course. And who is preventing investigation? Israel. Israel is not allowing any independent investigator to come in. All the UN commissioners who were assigned to investigate were prevented not only from coming to Gaza, but also to the West Bank. And more than that, not a single foreign journalist up till now was allowed into Gaza. Why is that? While 261 Palestinian journalists were killed, bombarded by the Israeli army.
Well, Mr. Barghouti,
it's so clear, the picture.
Would you accept though an investigation that examines both civilian deaths and militant activity there in the buildings that were hit? I mean, would you accept an investigative body looking into that?
Absolutely. Not only I would accept, I welcome it. I ask for it. I demand it. We want it.
Would it have to be a Palestinian body? Would it have to be Palestinian?
No. It can be any international independent body, which is impartial. That's what we are calling for. If it can be UN body, it can be international independent body. The most important thing, it should be a body that is fair and that is independent from both parties. That's what we have been demanding for the last 3 years. It's not us who are refusing independent investigation. On the contrary, it's Israel. And please ask yourself why even foreign journalists are prevented. Why people from CNN, from your station, or from any other independent journalist structure is not allowed into Gaza?
Yeah, it is a factor that we have brought up many times on this program. And your point's well taken there. Let me ask you about the current ceasefire. What is the ceasefire achieving? Is it protecting civilians, or is it allowing Israel to cement its control over Gaza?
There is no ceasefire in Gaza. There is unilateral ceasefire from the Palestinian side only. As I told you, Israel has violated the ceasefire already 3,700 times or more. And no Palestinian response whatsoever was there in response to these Israeli attacks. The outcome is more than 1,200 Palestinians. Many of them are about 2,066 are children, and more than 4,000 new injuries. And the bombardment continues. Even when the Palestinian groups declared that they are accepting Trump's plan and the proposed agreement for a second stage, Israel responded by attacking again and conducting practically a massacre that killed 19 people 2 days ago. So there is no ceasefire from the Israeli side. There is only ceasefire from the Palestinian side. And Palestinians are not responding because they don't want to give arguments or justification for even bigger Israeli attacks on Gaza. But that cannot be continued because also the ceasefire agreement speaks about allowing humanitarian aid into Gaza. So far, Israel has allowed only 30% of what was included in the agreement. And there is no freedom of movement to allow patients to get out of Gaza who need treatment outside, mainly cancer patients, injured people. Every day, today we had a report, every day we lose 3 cancer patients in Gaza, every day, because there is no treatment for them.
Yeah, I saw that you posted that earlier on X. Do you support last week's announced agreement with Hamas to disarm? It includes the proposed sequence of verified Palestinian disarmament to be followed by an Israeli withdrawal. Do you support that agreement?
Yes, and all Palestinian groups do. And actually, it was negotiated with the participation of all groups. Why? Because we want this genocide to stop in Gaza. We want to alleviate the suffering of our people in Gaza. Resistance to Israeli occupation is because of occupation. If occupation is out, there will be no need for that. But the problem is that it's not only in Gaza. I know we should talk about Gaza, but West Bank is subjected to terrorist settlers attacks every day. Between 15 and 30 attacks every day around my city, around our communities, in our villages. They come in, they burn cars, they burn houses, they shoot people, they bombard cars on the streets, on the roads, and we have no protection whatsoever. And unfortunately, the Israeli army is protecting these settlers who have already evicted 118 Palestinian communities from their land.
Mr. Barghouti,
it's like ethnic cleansing.
Let me bring you back to Gaza for just a second, though. With this announcement, Hamas has made it clear that it wants Israel to withdraw first before it will turn over its weapons. What do you say to that? I mean, that's a condition that Israel has said is a no-go.
No, that's not what the agreement says. The agreement, I'm talking about Trump's plan. The agreement said that the first stage of the agreement includes complete ceasefire, which means Israel stops completely bombarding Gaza and Palestinians do not use weapons against the Israeli side. The Palestinians committed to that and they are fulfilling it. Israel continues to bombard Gaza. That's the first stage. In the first stage, there should be 600 trucks of humanitarian aid reaching Gaza. This is not happening.
So you're saying the second stage. Okay, so the second stage for you then is...
The second stage includes disarmament, yes.
Right.
And Israeli withdrawal. Today, there was an announcement by Netanyahu's office saying, even if there is disarmament, he will never withdraw from Gaza. He is talking now about countries should allow Palestinians in Gaza to leave to them because he wants to conduct what his defense minister, Katz, says, total ethnic cleansing of Gaza. That is the reality. I don't want you to believe me. Look at the statements of Netanyahu and his government.
Your point is well taken, Mr. Barghouti. Let me just, if I could, ask you where you see this moving. I mean, who do you think should govern Gaza during the transition that is supposed to be on the way? I mean, who's going to actually have power in Gaza?
There is an agreement between Palestinian groups that approved by the Board of Peace, as they call it. It needs to do a lot to earn that name, Board of Peace, by the way. But the agreement is that there is an independent national committee which has been formed and which is headed by Mr. Ali Shaath, which will take over the responsibility of governance from Hamas in Gaza. And they will be responsible for coordinating and organizing the issues of weapons and so on. So there is a committee, and that committee is sitting in, and it was approved by the Board of Peace.
But do the Palestinians have much influence on the Board of Peace, Mr. Barghouti? Do they have much influence?
No, we don't. And the committee that was approved by the Board of Peace is sitting in Cairo, and Israel is not allowing it up till now to enter Gaza. So how can they take over if they are not allowed into Gaza? But eventually, we are preparing for democratic free elections. And that's what we demand as a party. We want free democratic choice for all Palestinians in West Bank and Gaza. We should elect a new parliament. We should elect a new parliament that will elect a new government. And that government should be representative of all Palestinians.
Okay.
In my opinion, we have the right as people, like German people have the right and other people have the right to choose our leadership through democratic free elections.
Okay. Dr. Mustafa Barghouti, as always, we appreciate your time, your valuable analysis, and the insight that only you can offer us. We thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let's get more on this now with DW correspondent Emily Gordine. She joins us today from Jerusalem. Emily, a mass funeral today for bodies uncovered 3 years after they were killed in an airstrike in Gaza. Why has it taken so long to recover the remains?
Well, Terry, it comes down to several reasons here. For one, you can't, or it's very difficult to excavate bodies when there is active fighting going on, especially with huge blast sites like this one in particular. Then, of course, you need heavy machinery that is not readily available in Gaza. From what we know, from what we've understood, what we've been told by the International Red Cross, in all of Gaza there are all but 2 excavators operating. Now that explains why. For one, it is so difficult to get to these bodies, but you also have to keep in mind that the access to these sites is also very difficult when it comes to accessing the streets, for example, that lead to these massive blast sites. They're covered in rubble, and then of course there's a ton of unexploded ordnances scattered around the territory, so it's also incredibly dangerous. And the people who are trying to get to these bodies, who are trying to uncover the dead, recover the dead, they're also moving slowly as to not to desecrate the bodies themselves.
Do we know, Emily, how many others may still be buried under the rubble there in Gaza?
Well, some estimates suggest that at this particular site, over 100 bodies still lie undiscovered. But it's very difficult to really pinpoint find an exact number here. When you look at Gaza as a whole, estimates suggest that thousands are still buried deep in the rubble, so it will take a lot of time, not just to recover the people at this particular site, but across the Gaza Strip.
Israel, as we mentioned in our report, continues to launch strikes on Gaza despite a ceasefire that's meant to be in place. What's been the reaction to that?
Well, Israel has killed over 1,200 Palestinians since the October 2025 ceasefire. And of course that's caused condemnation abroad. It's instilled desperation and a level of hopelessness in Gaza that I think goes beyond words, especially when you look at the news headlines. If you look at this recent breakthrough with Hamas disarming and the Israeli military potentially moving back to the yellow line, this sounds like progress. But just when people in Gaza hear the word progress, the bombardment actually intensifies. Now, Nikolai Mladenov, the head of the Board of Peace, he actually visited Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday, urging him for the strikes to stop. But we have yet to see that change.
What is day-to-day life in Gaza like now for those who remain there? Is there sufficient food, water, shelter, health care for the residents there?
Well, the short answer to that is no. While more food has been coming in compared to other times in this war, the water situation remains extremely dire. Some water is coming in, but it stays just about at the levels of what the UN requires people to get. But you have to keep in mind that a lot of that water gets lost as soon as it enters the territories because the pipes are broken. So take, for example, Gaza City. 60 to 80% of the water that comes in through the water pipes is lost because of the damage to the water pipes. So that, of course, leads to dire sanitation conditions. Over 1.6 million Palestinians continue to live in tents. Now, after rat and mice infestations, we're hearing reports now of snakes in the tents. Add on to that human rights organizations have been warning that not enough medical supply. Israel has not been allowing enough medical supply to enter the territory, so there's not enough medication to actually treat the people who are not just injured from the continued bombardment, but also from the diseases that have been spreading on the ground.
Now, Donald Trump's Board of Peace, we've mentioned this a couple of times already, it's trying to push through a peace plan that includes Hamas disarming and Israel withdrawing from the Gaza Strip. Is there any real progress on that that would bring the prospect, at least, of peace to come?
Well, at this point, it certainly sounds more like it's causing real friction, certainly on the Israeli side. Now, if you look back to this plan that Donald Trump put on the table, phase one envisioned the withdrawal of the Israeli military to the Yellow Line, and then in phase two, we would see the Hamas disarm. Now, that plan has been changed completely. The Israeli military now controls well beyond 50%. They've pushed well beyond the Yellow Line. They now control over 60% of the Gaza territory. And now Hamas is expected and has agreed to disarm for then the Israeli military to then later withdraw from the territory, at least to the Yellow Line, and then beyond that. At least that is what is anticipated. But this plan now, even though it seems to be certainly favoring the Israeli side, it is causing friction within the own Israeli government. Several ministers have urged Netanyahu to block this roadmap. Several of them are settlers and who want to settle parts of Gaza. And of course, you have to keep in mind that it is election year in Israel. Israelis go to the poll in October, and this Israeli government does not want to seem weak in front of its voters. And so that is one reason for why we have not really seen an endorsement, a public endorsement of this plan so far from the Israeli side.
Emily, thank you for bringing us up to date there. That was our correspondent, Emily Gordine, in Jerusalem.